I'm Duke.
I'm Creed.
Yeah, and we're gonna get started. We're doing ones again. We did ones last week, and it seemed to work relatively well. Gave us a little bit more time to like talk to y'all while one of us was playing. You're stuck at gold. How do I move up in the ranks? Be more detailed than get good. Get better. No. Let's see. Generally speaking, at gold, you have a relative understanding of what your character does. Start recognizing what your opponent can do to you and what you can do about it. So one of the big things that helped me get from gold to plat is starting to just recognize punishing. Rather than just diving headfirst at them, kind of try to see what they're trying to do to me and then try to punish those things. Tips for gauntlets, learn dodge reads. Everything comes out of side light. That's kind of the big thing for gauntlets. So you do the side light, and then you can either go for the gravity cancel side light follow up, go for that recovery. You can go for a wait and then see how if they spot dodge. But it's all about figuring out how your opponent's dodging and then punishing those dodges. Any tips for cannon? I personally like the grounded cannon kit a lot more than the aerial kit. So downlight's a really good long range attack. You can go into dare right after it or nair depending on the damage. Sidelight is kind of an interesting one. I'm not sure how to play sidelight except for use it as kind of the anti-air because none of the other moves have a really high verticality. And then the neutral light's a really good safe one. You just kind of throw that one out, kind of like how you throw out most neutral lights in the game, which is to say like, oh, I whiffed something, or oh, he just whiffed something and I need to punish in a really short amount of time. Throw out the neutral light because it comes out relatively quick.
How do you beat sig spammers? So the thing about signatures is that they have a lot of startup and a lot of recovery. And so what that means is when someone starts using a signature, there's always going to be this animation that the character will do that'll let you know, oh, a signature is going to come out, and you can react in time. And then even if you don't punish the signature before it's happening, you can also punish the signature after it's already happening. So if you see someone likes using a signature over and over again, there's always going to be a gap between them using the signature, which is just like, hey, here's a second that I have to come in with my attack and punish him if he just keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
But like you were saying, yeah, there's everything is punishable. You just kind of have to figure out how to do it. Sometimes it's punishing the recovery frames of a move. Sometimes it's punishing the active frames. Like Ada side sig is a really good example of a move that has a lot of active frames, and just all you have to do is recognize that they're going to go for that. Recognize the situations where they want to go for those signatures, and then get around it. Get to where the hitbox isn't, and they're stuck in those active frames. That's where you punish. Same thing with like chainsaw. Chainsaw's a good example. A lot of people like to try to punish from in front, but you just got to get around it, get behind it. What if your opponent never attacks? If he never attacks, then you'll never get hurt.
If I attack, he dodges and kills me. How do you get around that?
How do you get around that? Change up your attack.
You can do a lot of baiting.
It generally comes down to either bait or more generally changing how you're approaching. If you're constantly approaching in the same direction, then they're gonna start to recognize those approach habits. So I have a really bad habit of approaching from the air, and so most people just straight up anti-air me consistently. Oh, no. But if you can start to recognize your habits of approach and change that up, start going for more grounded approaches or kind of dash back and forth, fake an approach, those are really good options for changing that up, and it'll burn their dodge. So if they burn their spot dodge on the ground, that's a 60 frame cooldown on the ground. So then that's 60 frames. That's a full second where you can hit them and they can't avoid it. You want to bait those situations out. Or you put them in a situation where they think they're going to hit you. They'll put out an attack, but you avoid it, and then you get the turnaround punish.
And go, okay, this is how I need to change up my playstyle. That was an awesome
that was cute, right?
You
That was cute, right? That was cute, right?
You got it twice.
So that signature is an interesting signature because it's got a really finite hitbox. It's generally used off stage, so that's why you saw me do it twice there. So I hit it for the off stage to spike them, and then the second one was off stage again.